So, you completed your mission, Vene. We've reached the very end of this destiny. We come to a point where there is no longer any turning back. And truth be told, this region was so much better. With all of your unrestrained, true desires that glow in the darkness. How could you break your true feelings apart by your own hands? How could you destroy me and end the dreams of all who seek Nephility? Still can't pronounce it. You proved something to me, though. You unleashed a power that surpassed everything, even Mother Nature. You laid Nephility to rest and bestowed the greatest salvation upon the world. And that was entirely unlike the way you saved the cats in front of Sigberg and Doris's eyes. Are you possibly going to deny that now? That has nothing to do with the heart at all. The only thing that mattered was my mission. That is my duty and responsibility. I told you before, I am Seraphic Blue. And I am the instrument of the world's salvation, created just for this moment of truth. All I care about was to destroy you and save the world. And all I did was to fulfill all the hopes resting on my 2 shoulders and on my 2 wings. Other than those, I didn't care about or seek anything else. And to think I've wasted my last chance. It was the last chance for me, Vene's inner side, to reunite with you, Vene's outer side. It would have been wonderful had Vene's true self been realized. How dumb. As if I want to be my true self. How would that bring me salvation at any rate? No one needs me as a person. They only need me as Seraphic Blue, the instrument of the world's salvation. From a wide perspective, people's lives are nothing more than consumables in Gaia's destiny. They are predestined to be used up and be cast aside once they lost their meaning. Even for me, my life is now of no use. I was but a consumable whose only purpose was to save the world. In other words, I'm now a nobody. This is why I absolutely hate this destiny of mine. I absolutely hate everything about life. So you understand after all. Those feelings of yours no doubt represent me, and it's because of them that I was created. There's just one difference between you and me, though, and it's the fact that you followed your destiny while I refused it. You choose to continue to live as Seraphic Blue, and I, on the other hand, aimed to end the world together with Ende and the Kirsch family. You're a pitiful existence, really. You've always hated your destiny, but still, you followed it. You basically lost your whole identity. What a poor angel who can't even fly. You're just being a sore loser now. No matter what you say about me, there's no hiding the fact that you lost. I saved the world, and I have completed my mission as Seraphic Blue without staining my reputation. I am the winner. Well, I wonder about that. So, Vene, what do you plan to do after this? Sure enough, this battle and this destiny have come to an end here. But that doesn't mean your life is over. Yes, your life still continues. So, what are you going to do? Jump down moribund hope? Or indulge yourself in drugs at chaos? That's something I thought about before. And I can say that death is the best way to save myself. Even mental breakdown caused by drugs is fine too, since it's good as death. After all, ignorance, death, and bliss are all correlated. Thank you for asking in any case. You're welcome. Yes, that's the way. What's so funny? It's all clear now. Even if I vanish, it's all the same. What's going on? What's this? Don't tell me there's another battle. You've lost. The world shall end. Don't tell me I have to actually kill you. All shall die. With stats like that? Dude. It's over, isn't it? I've won, didn't I? What's going on? Hey, can you hear me? Why are you so quiet? Excuse me. Eh? What's going on? Don't tell me. Gaia is. This is ridiculous. Since this battle is already over, Gaia's rebirth ought to activate, and Gaia's life ought to be saved. No. No. What? Don't tell me there's like multiple endings or anything like that, dude. I don't know how I feel about if I have to fight R again. Oh boy. Is that really going to end like this? Wake up. You promised, right? You promised that you would cry. This is chaos. Chaos? Don't tell me. Yes, Gaia is currently in the state of death, or near death to be exact. Why? Why about Gaia's rebirth? Wasn't that supposed to happen after I defeated R? So why didn't it? If Gaia was doomed to die in the first place, then what's the point of my mission? What's the point of spending my entire life to save the world only to no avail? Say something. Do you believe life to be a waste? The fact that you have lived until today, and the fact that you were born, you believe those to be pointless. Of course, given what happened here, it would have been better for me not to be born. All that I have done in life have been nothing but complete trash. This is plain stupid. Oh, I see. Chaos exists because there is still one last obstacle preventing Gaia's rebirth. Last obstacle? How is there still an obstacle at this point in time? I see now. Isn't R already gone? Yes, but there is still someone else acting as the obstacle. What? Gaia's rebirth. It is a phenomenon that is supposed to occur as a result of the birth of a hybrid of a human and a Seraphuman. That hybrid clashes with the very nature of reality, and that clash ought to have given rise to tremendous energy, which would eradicate all Gaia cancers and save the life of Gaia. Ende and his follow, Malgigant, can't pronounce that at all. Gaia cancers were all initially obstacles. Then it was the Kirsch family and R. And now, even after all of them were destroyed, Gaia's rebirth still has not been activated. Yes, your existence as Seraphic Blue is, by rights, free to activate Gaia's rebirth by now. What? Then why hasn't Gaia's rebirth been activated? We do not know if Dahlin made this clear to you, but the most important factor affecting its activation is the will to live. In order to counter the stagnant energy here, a constant flow of life is needed. Once that is realized, Gaia's rebirth will be activated. Right here and now, there are certainly no more enemies of ours hindering Gaia's rebirth. Rather, at the very end, there is just one person close to us who is hindering it. And that person is you, Vene. I'm the one? Hindering Gaia's rebirth? Yes. You have caused Gaia to be in this state of near death. That's ridiculous. I exist to save Gaia. But you're implying that you don't want her to live. I mentioned your will to live, didn't I? Right now, you do not have that. All you have is your great displeasure towards everything about yourself and the world. Because of that, you are the very last obstacle preventing Gaia's rebirth. Remember what R said. She knew that this would happen. She knew that as long as you do not have the will to live, the end of the world is bound to come. Or rather, let me rephrase my words. As long as you do not have the will to live, you are not Vene. Right now, you are R. So what then? Are you saying I should have the will to live so that Gaia's rebirth will occur? And are you saying that I should save the world with all my heart? That is correct. This is all so laughable. You two know about my circumstances, right? I was born to be the instrument of the world's salvation. I was rigorously trained to be an instrument void of anything related to being a person. The principles of my mission and my destiny were imposed on and drilled into me. And I undertook my mission to the bitter end while shouldering an extremely heavy burden. In other words, I'm never meant to be a person. I'm destined to be nothing more than the instrument of the world's salvation. And now, you're telling me to have the will to live as a person? What a load of crap. Sorry, but this is the only thing I'm unable to do. I don't know why I even fought this battle in the first place. Why was I able to give my all when I had absolutely nothing to offer? If I were not the instrument of the world's salvation, in my personal opinion, yes, in R's opinion, this is what I would have said. Say, I want this world to perish. I want the workings of life to be destroyed. I want everyone to die. Thinking about it now, all of this was inedible. The once stagnant fate came alive, but went unto uncertainty. and unbeknownst to many, that fate would gradually drown in a huge vortex of chaos. Vena and R were two sides of the same coin, and this was the final chapter of Vena's destiny. That even Gaia could not foresee. Ultimately, this was the path taken by Seraphic Blue. Seraphic Blue was born unintentionally as a result of Edwin's rebellion in the midst of Project Seraphic Blue. After which, Syra Rosberg, the former Seraphic Blue's first wing, met a sudden and unfortunate end after she was abandoned by her father George. Her spirit then became a second Colonel Soul, and she was reborn as a Serahuman. That rebirth was in fact a plan to preserve the existence of Seraphic Blue's first wing. The plan went well without any problems. However, a huge problem lied afterwards. It was the selection of the personnel to raise Vene. A man who was deemed an eccentric genius was favored to be in charge of looking after Vene before he was eventually chosen. Back then, no one thought of him to be a lunatic yet. That man was Sigurd Genbash, the main culprit of Vene's mishaps. He could be considered to be just as guilty as Ende, or even guiltier than him, even though he did not commit wrongdoings openly or showingly. The only thing that Sigurd was concerned about was the mission of Seraphic Blue. It was a mission that Seraphic Blue, the one and only being capable of and devoted to defeating Ende and saving the world, could not afford to abandon. That mission certainly came with a huge pressure and stress. Anyone who were to take up that mission, but is not mentally fit for it, naturally would break down eventually. In the worst case scenario, he or she would have given up on the mission. And should that happen, it would ultimately mean the end of the world. There are two countermeasures to that. One of them is the therapeutical measure. This measure is the standard approach that involves nurturing the health of the person concerned. It also involves caring for the person's heart, mind, and soul, ensuring that he or she is mentally content. The other countermeasure is the preventative measure. Unlike the therapeutic measure, this measure involves total prevention and avoidance of risk by removing all factors that can pose problems. Sigurd went with this measure and carried it out in an inhumane manner, and so, as to train Vene into becoming the perfect instrument of the world's salvation. There was a risk of Vene giving up on her mission as if she were to be a normal person. However, by becoming an instrument, such risk would not occur. In that way, no incidents would occur, and there would be no complaints as well. That was what Sigurd believed. In short, Sigurd planned to remove all aspects of humanity from Vene, so as to eliminate potential problems leading to her abandoning her mission. And so Sigurd brought the instrument of the world's salvation into existence. He created a person's body according to how he imagined his ideal daughter to look like before transferring Syra's spirits into the body. In other words, she was born without any blood connections, without being shown any true love. Instead, she was merely born for the grand purpose of saving the world, and as a result of Sigurd's craving for her existence. She was given the name Vene Enbash. That was when his game began. He would proceed to paint the life of his daughter on the piece of white canvas, based on his own ideals about her. Vene's aspects of humanity were thoroughly removed, and she was brainwashed into recognizing herself as nothing more than an instrument. Gradually, she became a completely emotionless instrument, whose only human trait was her physical body. She was to be none other than Seraphic Blue. Vene was imbued with the mentality that she exists in this world only as Seraphic Blue and not as herself. Consequently, rather than causing her to be unable to give up on her mission, it caused her to believe that her life revolved solely around her mission. If she were to abandon her mission, she would only become a worthless being. Only by abiding by her mission, she would be a worthy being. That was, without a doubt, the ideal instrument of the world's salvation as conceived by Sigurd. Sigurd came up with a plan that not only ensured that she did not give up on her mission, but also assured that she was always loyal to her mission. And above all, those who feared Vene might give up on her mission welcomed that perfect plan of his. While that plan was clearly inhumane, it was logically viable. After all, it was a plan foreseen to guarantee that Vene would never give up on her mission. However, that was one thing that Catherine and I feared the most. The reason is because that was a makeshift, short-sighted, and superficial solution. Or rather, it was an extremely inane plan that would actually cause problems in the long run. Sigurd truly went overboard with the way he raised Vene, and it was certainly not wrong to label him the main culprit of it all. He, along with George, was no doubt one of the worst fathers ever existed in society. Sigurd was literally obsessed with Vene, and by some quirk of fate, it was very much similar to George's obsession with Syra. Syra led a mostly sheltered life under George. She was unable to break free from him and find an identity of her own, not until Edwin rescued her. It was essentially the same with Vene. She was destined to be Seraphic Blue and nothing else. She was forced to only lead a life as Seraphic Blue, and she did not have the freedom to pursue life as a person. Consequently, she lived without a clear will of her own, and was oblivious to the outside world. She did not know what to seek, or what path to take herself in life. All she knew was to live as her instrument. Vene's circumstances were made worse by the social-emotional program that was created for her due to her acts of self-harm. Because she was suddenly allowed to experience emotions midway through her life as an instrument that Sigurd had constructed for her, she began to have boundless feelings of pessimism and swirling within her. That was an extremely unpleasant part of her destiny. To put it simply, it was the worst consequence that could happen. The paradox of destiny, and the side of Vene who desired the world's destruction, came into being. She was manifested as Vene's true feelings of hatred for all existence. It is true that Vene's life had turned for the better since she began living with Edwin and the others of this OHG 2 years ago. However, Sigurd's teaching left the strongest and most significant impact on Vene. She was unfortunately unable to free herself from that, and the hopes of recovery were faint. Kanosvos. The part of that novel tells a prison librarian who committed suicide soon after he was discharged from prison. He became acquainted to life behind the walls of prison, so much so that the life of his meant everything to him. Consequently, he lost all meaning in life when he entered the outside world, and subsequently killed himself. Normally, a person who has completed his prison sentence would bizarrely walk out of prison in high spirits. However, in the case of the prison librarian, he was unable to find peace in his freedom from imprisonment. It was the same with Vene. Her destiny as Seraphic Blue is her prison, and the only thing that means everything to her. She has even foreseen that she would lose all meaning in life when her destiny ends. As such, she does not have the will to live as a person outside her prison. She is the instrument of the world's salvation. That is to be cast aside once her destiny ends, and she becomes of no use. That will be when she will become a mere worthless speck of dust, or so she believes. She would not take flight into the sky of freedom, and has remained in endless grief and sorrow. Even then, though, it is much too early for her to pass away, in my opinion. Or I should say, she still has a future ahead. After all, she is like Pandora's box, that may be filled to the brim with despair, but also contains a glimmer of hope beneath the despair. Realistically speaking, though, I can only say this. Vene has all along been unable to fly, even with her wings. She has followed her destiny while either having given up on flying or not knowing how to fly. We fear that the worst might happen when her destiny ends, given her condition. Even though she has not been released into the sky of freedom, she might only fall from there with no purpose in life. And eventually she might die. That is, above all, her intention. The completion of her mission would mean breaking down the walls of prison. She is only focused on breaking down those walls, but has never once thought about living life outside of them. Thoughts about her future are pretty much non-existent. Vene lost her will to live as a person. Ironically, it was because of that the walls of her prison remain intact. In other words, she actually gained the will to live as a person momentarily when she broke down those walls and freed herself into the vast blue sky. Vene's circumstances are complicated. It is difficult for us to do anything about that. However, an unexpected trump card did appear. It was Vene's amnesia. Naturally, that incident was purely consequential. It had nothing to do at all with our plans. Also, we could have simply restored her memories, but instead we choose to wash over the journey of Lake and the amnesiac Vene together. After all, that provided a good opportunity for her to experience what life really is all about. Vene said earlier that the principles of her mission and her destiny were imposed on and drilled into her. As such, it was hard to change her deep perception of her mission as Seraphic Blue. However, with the loss of her memories, she was clearly unable to recall the importance of her mission. Vene's amnesia was in fact much needed and was also for her own good. After all, her days of amnesia depicted her future. By forgetting about her mission, she was free from it. And the fact of the matter is that she lived as a person. That is the ideal life she should lead after the end of her mission. The path that she walked down, together with Lake, was the path that she walked down as a person. Every word she said, every moment she made, and every emotion she showed back then were no doubt the traits of Vene Enbash as a person. That was Vene's projected future after her mission. To be more specific, it was a sample of her future. Unlike the prison librarian in the story of Knaus Voss, who has no future under the sky of freedom, Vene's days of Lake represented her future. Those days were also proof that she is certainly capable of realizing her own future, but only if she is willing to. There's nothing we can do to help her on that. After all, we have no connection to her future. In that case, we can only rely on those two. They are the only ones whose futures are interweaved with Vene's. Alright. Lake. Edwin. Hey, Vene, you done well. No, I haven't. I could not save the world and then... It's all my fault. What are you talking about? You can still save the world. You just need to have the will to live. It's no use. I'm Seraphic Blue. That role of mine is the only thing that makes my life worth living. Regardless of whether I succeed or fail in my mission, I would only become a useless speck of dust eventually. And I would no longer have any place in the world. It's just pointless for me to have the will to live. This music is really getting to me. I don't think that way about you, though. Why not? Remember our journey together. Back then, I could sense warmth in you. But for some reason, that warmth turned into coldness when we reunited. And now, that coldness is even stronger than before. That has made me think that you now isn't the real you. Rather, the real you was the Vene I first met and traveled together. Yes, the one who was freed from her mission after losing her memories was your true self. And that's the way you should live once your mission is over. After all, you're certainly capable of leading a normal life as a person. Just like back then. It's not helping, huh? I suppose our words like punch. Huh? Then what are we supposed to do as if our words aren't gonna work? Don't get me wrong, I never said anything like that. It's just that our words aren't enough. You mean there's someone else we can rely on? Yeah, it's a man Vene was closest with. Ladies, are you able to call him out? I am afraid not. The time of the physical world has stopped at the moment. But we did converse directly with his spirit shortly before the incident occurred. And we have a message from him that he would like to convey to Vene. We could only hope that it would help, though. It will. It will for sure. His words will be louder and more precious than any other. And Vene may have lost sight of everything, but she certainly hasn't lost her hearing. I see. So, you are saying that even without anything in sight, there is still sound to guide the way. Very well. We will now convey his message. Fritz. Vene. Gaia's prophets explain everything to me. Recall the time of our mini resistance together. Back then, all I did was to open up a new path for you. Afterwards, everything you did was done on your own accord. You showed that you have the will to live your own free life. Or, to live your own free life rather than an imprisoned life. You also showed that you had the desire to be a person rather than an instrument. You said so yourself that you could sense the surroundings around you back then. The blue sky, the gentle breeze, and the rich pastures. Even though you could barely sense them, it's enough to show that there is life in you. I have to apologize to you. I've only thought of you as a cross to bear for my sins, and I eventually realized by doing that, I had only closed the path to your future. So even if you managed to open up that path and begin a new journey as a person, my way of thinking would only reclose that path. Therefore, I will never think of you as a cross to bear ever again. And you too shouldn't feel burdened by anything. Finally, there's something I would really like to tell you. I know that I can't force you to accept me, but I understand that you might turn me down again. But I just want to let you know that in this world, there is at least me who will genuinely say this to you. I hope to see you again. If you reach your hand out, you will see just how vast the blue sky is. Whenever you feel lonely and you want someone to be by your side, let me be that someone. Let's live life together, Vene. Fritz. This is not the end for you, Vene. It's only the beginning. You have us in spirit, and even Fritz is hoping to see you again. Besides, you were the one who gave me the will to live. Since young, Mother Elena told me to always return the favor. And the last thing I want is for her to become mad at me for letting you end your life. Well, that's how it is, when you give me the chance to repay you. Say, Vene, can I ask you an honest question? Sure, there's nothing to hide at this late stage at any rate. Alright then. Were you sad when Lake and I died? What kind of question is that? Isn't it obvious? Don't tell me you don't believe I was sad. No, that's not it at all. But the thing is, you didn't cry. Well, of course I couldn't. I had a huge mission to shoulder after all. Excuse me. I have to be strong. Crying is a sign of weakness, and I couldn't allow that. Is that so? Both of you don't seem convinced. Well, yeah, not at all. How do you define strong, really? If you're truly strong, shouldn't you choose to continue living life? And shouldn't you have the will to live? There's a difference between not wanting to cry and refraining from crying. In her case, it's the latter. You've been bound to your destiny and couldn't cry even though you wanted to. And you might think it's your will and resolve, or resolution to not cry, or resolution to not cry. But, in truth, you are intimidated by your destiny into not crying. Is that what being strong is about? No. The fact that you refrain from letting out your sorrow is not being strong. It's only giving in to your destiny and letting it control you. Why? Do you perhaps resent me? Is that what you're supposed to say to me, who dedicated my all to fulfilling my destiny? It's like you're rejecting me. I can't believe this. I gave up everything to accomplish my mission, only to be criticized by both of you. This is ridiculous. Do you even know how much I wanted to cry but couldn't? Then how about crying now? What? Even if you so want to cry, then do it. Do you know everyone's actually hoping you would cry and let it all out? And yet, you choose to pretend to be strong on your own. I'm sure you heard the original Vene's words, right? Well, we basically feel the same way as her. We were really worried that you didn't shed a single tear. What we would like to see is not that you simply fulfill your destiny and the like. Rather, it's something beyond that. We wish to see you live life to the fullest as yourself. Well, I guess this is the perfect chance for all of us to let it all out before we part ways. Given how emotional this will be, I gotta shed tears no matter what. Oh, I was about to say the same thing. This is the case of like father, like son, after all. You must be joking. I'm not as reckless in doing things as you are. Well, suppose you could say that. Come now, Vene. Don't be so hard-hearted, okay? Dude, this is actually putting tears in my eyes too, dude. Good work, Vene. You're no longer an instrument. You're now a person. So go on. Cry. All you want. Man, this is really getting to me. My eyes are actually watering. I can even see Lake's eyes water a little bit on the corners. And is that a tear dropping from Edwin's right eye? On the corner of his right eye? I see it. Dude, I'm even tearing up a little bit. It's over. Yes. The roll ends here. My journey with you has been the most fruitful ever. Likewise. Thank you. You are the one of the best partners I have ever had in my entire life. Have you perhaps recovered from your sorrow? Yes, I feel proud of myself now. After all, I have finally reached the goal of my journey. And I owe it all to you, who have always been by my side. Thank you. Now then, let us begin. Yes, let us commence our final grand task. And let us hope that we will meet again someday. Oh, man. Gaia's rebirth. So, everything's being revived, or is it like a real rebirth? I don't know exactly. Man, an hour and 40 minutes. I definitely have to split this. Okay, everyone's back then. You know what? I kind of wonder something, but I'll explain what I was thinking after this whole scenario plays out. And let us see the last one. Damn, I forgot what was. Okay. Fritz. Did they even show Hassan? Almost forgot his name. Where's Hassan? I don't know if you guys showed Hassan. It's time for us to go on. Don't worry. Your life as a person has only just begun. Or it won't end easily. You can rest assured that my damn father and I will protect your life always in spirit. There are still a lot of things in store for you, be them good or bad things. Nonetheless, be sure to always keep your head up and look far ahead. Yes. Lake. Edwin. Thank you. I'm glad to have met both of you. Same here. Well, we certainly are blessed, aren't we? Yeah. It's like we can now really leave without any regret. Take care. If fate permits, we'll meet again. Yes. I won't say goodbye then. Oh man, goosebumps are getting to me. I'm actually... I think my eyes are watering even more now. Man, this has been one hell of a game. Without a doubt, my favorite RPG right now. It may have some bullshit moments, but man, it's been fun.